Sometimes we get to a place in our life where we feel overwhelmed. It can happen in a lot of different instances. It can happen with your work. You got so many things to do, you don't know where to start. It can happen when you're in school, especially around finals time. You get overwhelmed with all your projects and tests coming up. You can get overwhelmed in your financial situation when you got more bills than funds to pay them. You can get overwhelmed in relationships, not know what to do, or be beside yourself and trying to figure out how to handle a certain situation in life. When you get to that place, what you need to seek higher ground. That's what David did. And we read about this in Psalm 61. He says, "Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer." Many times we read of prayer being said that someone cries out to God. And that's what David says here. He says, "Hear my cry." This word for cry means a loud shout. And so David was literally shouting out to God. Now he's not trying to make sure that God hears him because God's so far away. What he's saying is that out of the anguish of his heart, he is literally crying out to God, asking for God's help. "Please attend to my prayer, God," he says. And so that's where we should start. We should start by going to God. He says in verse 2, "From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I." And there it is. He says, from the end of the earth. You know, there is no place in life, no situation in life that you can get yourself into that you're too far from God for him to hear you. He is very near to us all of the time. And so he says, "From the end of the earth I cry unto you." Even at the farthest reaches of the earth, as far away from civilization as you could get, God can hear you. And in the depths of our sin, as far away from God into our depravity as we might descend, God can hear us. And he says, "That's when I cried out to you, when my heart was overwhelmed." His heart was completely overwhelmed within him. Now, we don't know exactly the situation, but it doesn't matter because it applies to any situation in our life. This is what we do. We cry out to God, and here's his prayer. His prayer is, "Lead me. Lead me, God. I've gone astray. I've gotten myself into a place where I don't know the way. I need your leadership in my life. Lead me." And he asks for God to lead him to the rock that is higher than I. What does it mean that that rock is higher than him? Well, for one thing, it just means that that rock is bigger. It's bigger and it's stronger because in the next verse he says, "For thou hast been a shelter for me and a strong tower from the enemy." So a big rock, and I'm not talking about the kind of a rock you might pick up in your hand. I'm talking about a rock. I'm talking about a mountain. And when you get up against something like that, you realize, first of all, how strong it is. And you realize that it is a break from the wind. It is a shelter from the storm. It is a shade from the heat of the sun. And that's what he's needing. He's needing God's help in all of these different ways. And so the metaphor of the rock. Now, 1 Corinthians 10:4 tells us that the rock that the Israelites drank from in the wilderness, he said that rock was Christ. Now that's the rock that's higher than you and I. Not only is it literally bigger, but it's higher. The rock that's higher than us is higher in order, higher in wisdom, higher in might, higher in strength, higher in his holiness, higher in every way that you and I could possibly imagine. Our Lord Jesus Christ is higher. And so he prays for God to lead him to the rock, the one who can shelter him, the strong tower from the enemy, the shelter from the storm. And that rock is high ground. That's what you need. You've heard it when the radio broadcast comes on and says, "Flash flood warning in effect, seek higher ground." You got to get up above the flooding so that you can be safe when those kind of things happen. Anytime a combatant is in a situation, they're always going to seek higher ground from the enemy. So I just want to encourage you today. When you feel overwhelmed, seek higher ground. Seek Christ and seek for his leadership in your life. God bless you. Have a great day.